All right, so today I wanted to do things a little bit differently. Today I wanted to kind of go over some kind of food preservation. Now that'll be over bananas as well. Now that'll be over bananas and how I preserve my bananas. That way they don't go bad. Now, used to I didn't do that at all. I just toss them out when they get too bad, but uh, that kind of started adding up money that was just thrown away, really. So I figure this will help you guys understand what you can do to help save some money. I know, especially right now, things are pretty tight with everybody. A lot of people are out of work, but hopefully you'll find this useful. Now I use a lot of bananas. I use them in my shakes. I try to have a shake. Well, I try to have a shake about every day, every other day. It doesn't always work out though. Sometimes I go a week without having a shake. But I still do buy up quite a few bananas. I'll have about 6 bananas to 12 bananas a week. Um, Now you can actually use bananas for a lot of different things. Some things that I do is make banana sandwiches. I'll slice up. Usually, one banana will make about 3 sandwiches, and now I'll put peanut butter and bananas on the sandwiches, and probably some either seeds or like almond nuts, things like that. But I'll show you what I do to preserve them and what you can look for, because you don't really want to get them too green and freeze them. All right, so here you have some bananas. Get them out of the light, but these are fairly yellow. Now, if you get the green ones, you don't want to freeze them when they're green. What I like to do is wait until they get spotty like this, brown spots on them. That's when they taste a lot better to me, anyways. Um, Now you can freeze them like this when they're that yellow, but to me they taste better this way. But I'll go ahead and show you a few different ways that with what I do to cut them up or just freeze them whole. Now you do not want to freeze a banana without taking the peel off. Whenever I started, whenever I first did it, that's what I did, and I ended up just having to toss them all out. I wasn't thinking at the time. But I've learned a few things since then. Okay, so what you can do. So there's a few ways that you can do this here. Now I always pull them up that way, but you can pull them however you want to. Some people do it from the other end. But you can either freeze them whole like this. You can cut them into chunks. If you open it from the bottom or the top, whichever way, you don't have to worry about all these pieces like that there sticking to it. But you can either do a hole like that, break it up, or you can actually just chop them up. Got a butter knife here. Now, when I make my shakes, I do them in a blender. My old blender actually seemed to have more power to it. It would, you could stick frozen bananas in their hole and it wouldn't have any issues. But this new one, it doesn't like to do that. It bogs down. It just doesn't get everything chopped up. But the reason why I like this new one is because it's glass instead of plastic. That's my oldest in the background. Now what I usually try and do is I usually try and make it to where I have 2 frozen bananas per shake, and then I'll add. All right, so the video cut out on the other phone. So, but what I was saying was that when I make my shakes, I like to put 2 frozen bananas in there. Well, 2 frozen bananas, and then I'll either put 1 or 2 bananas off the countertop or the table. Now, like I did mention, the old blender would chop up the whole frozen bananas just fine, but the new one, no, it struggles. So here I have the 1 whole banana, the one cut and tore in half, and then I have 2 bananas here chopped up. Now this I'll put in the freezer, but I also wanted to show you this here as well. Now I try and not waste so much stuff. Now we do have parchment paper as well. And that you just use and throw away. But now this here, it's called a silicone baking sheet. You can get them off Amazon or Walmart. This one is called Range Clean. They're pretty nice. You can actually use them quite a bit. Here's we actually got 2. We started out with 1, but I figured it'd be a lot easier just getting another one. Now you can actually use these in the freezer as well as the oven. I don't think you can microwave these. I definitely wouldn't try. But they do also have a little measuring tape, I guess, if you would call it that. But it has the inches here. You can measure things out. But you can actually fold these up, roll them up. You can somewhat bend them. I try and keep them either rolled up or flat. I don't like to bend them too much, but they don't really seem to affect it much. I'm going to go ahead and get these put in the wall. I'll go ahead and add this one on there as well. Break it in half and put it in the freezer. Alright, so I got them in the freezer here. Now, one thing I have noticed, I have often, well, sometimes I have forgotten to bag them up. So sometimes they'll sit in here for a day or so. Now, it doesn't really affect the coloring too much of it. Sometimes if you leave it in there too long, it'll start to go a little darker brown. But usually, what I try and do is I'll try and let them sit in there for about 4 or 5 hours at least. Get a good freeze. And then I'll bag them up and stick them in a... I'll go show you where I got them and what I do with them. Alright, so anytime I freeze things, I always want to make sure I put the date that it was frozen on and what's actually in it. Now, wife on the other hand, she obviously doesn't do that. But here you can see I got the spinach and kale and stuff as well. But anytime you go to put anything in the freezer and you bag it up like this, make sure you write down the date that you put it in there and what it actually is. That way you don't want things to be in there too long and get freezer burn. That also helps preserve money as well.